Thank you for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. We appreciate your interest in health and wellness. However, it is important to note that the content provided in this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The information shared here is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The hosts and guests featured on Everything's Messy podcast are not licensed healthcare professionals, and the discussions within the episode should not be considered as personalized medical guidance. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. If you have a medical emergency, call your doctor or 911 immediately. Reliance on any information provided by Everything's Messy podcast or its guests is solely at your own risk. This podcast may discuss general health topics, lifestyle choices, and wellness trends, but these discussions should not be interpreted as individualized medical recommendations. Every individual's health needs are unique, and what works for one person may not be suitable for another. We encourage you to consult with a healthcare professional before making any significant changes to your diet, exercise routine, or health practices. Everything's Messy podcast and its hosts are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information provided during the podcast. Remember, your health is a personal matter, and professional medical advice is essential for making informed decisions about your well-being. Thank you for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Everything's Messy podcast brought to you by Dreamweaver Media. So, incredible company. I'm so excited that I've had the chance to work with this company. Let me tell you, if you are looking to level up your podcast, level up your business, anything that you need to get very clear and laser focused with your goals for your company, you need to reach out to Dreamweaver Media. They have a strategy session report that they will do for you. And what that will do is you will discover your dream audience persona, define your business's why, craft a brand identity that speaks directly to your target audience, identify your marketing goals, and create a custom plan and receive a detailed visual shoot plan that brings everything to life. Let me tell you, this company is amazing. So reach out to dreamweavermedia.co. That's dreamweavermedia.co. Check out their website for more information. Hey there, it's Sarah Wilson, and welcome to Everything's Messy podcast. Yep, you heard it right. Everything is messy because, well, it is. But here's the thing. In the mess, there's strength waiting to be found, and that's what we're all about here. My mission? To break the silence around chronic illness and build a community that's supportive, understanding, and downright empowering. So if you're ready to navigate the chaos, buck the conventional medical system, and embrace authentic healing, you're in the right place. We're going to tackle the big questions like how to balance it all, where the family fits into the messy equation, and everything in between. This is your messy space, a place where we're not afraid to get real, have those important conversations, and maybe even share a few laughs along the way. I'll be sitting down with incredible people, each with their unique message to explore their stories, experiences, and the lessons they've learned in the chaos. From unconventional healing methods to finding strength you never knew you had, we're covering it all. So grab a seat, get comfy, and let's dive into the messy. Because here at the Everything's Messy podcast, we're turning chaos into strength. Together, we're going to embrace the mess. Are you ready? Let's get messy. All right. Hey, messy people. Welcome to Everything's Messy podcast. I'm your host, Sarah. So let's get messy. Today, I have a great guest with me, joining me all the way from Queensland, Australia, which is pretty exciting. So it's really tomorrow morning there from where we are where I am in Southern California. So that's kind of I haven't had a guest like that from all the way. So I want to give a big welcome to Neal Fisher. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, mate. I'm in the future and you're in the past. So I can give you all the answers so you don't have to make any mistakes tomorrow.
But you know what? I love to be surprised. So don't tell me what I mess up on yet. I don't want to know. I want to be surprised.
Oh, well, I'll give you a hint. It's probably the same thing that you normally mess up on.
Probably so.
It's probably the same mistake that you always keep making.
Yeah, probably. So it's kind of interesting. According to my analytics, we actually have a big following in Australia. So to have you come on the podcast is kind of exciting. So I'm hoping that I can connect with more people there, and they'll love what you're putting out there. So as you know, we like to get messy on the podcast. And when I read all of your stuff, it sounds like you have a very messy story of your own. So why don't you start out and let's get messy, Neal?
Yeah, I mean, the nature of reality, it's chaos and order, right? A mess is chaos. Like me, look at me. I'm very regimented now. I'm very organized. It wasn't always that way. I always had a path and always had role models that kept me on point. But there's always mess. There was always chaos, disorderly. And that's what happened to me in my early 20s. I mean, my story is your story, is all of our stories, Sarah. It's the archetypal hero's journey. I mean, we go out into the world and we want to explore. We have ambition. We want to grow. But the problem is we're immature. We don't have impulse control. So things like drugs, alcohol, there wasn't Netflix then, but, media, pornography, and fast food. I mean, you name it. There's all these distractions that are just in all this informational overload. There's just a big mess in our head. I mean, we're scrambled eggs. We're always guarding. We can't actually get a level of order. And as a result, that's what happened to me. I had success, but because I couldn't stay on point, all of my immature characteristics, all of my narcissistic grandiosity all came out. And I was living in delusion. I thought I was perfect, but my world reflected total imperfection. And it all just crumbled around me. My high school sweetheart, after 7 years, she left me. I had a big, massive debt that I owed to the bank. I didn't look clean like this. I had hair everywhere and I had a big beard, and my body looked like crap. It was just a total mess, emotionally, financially, physically, and spiritually. I was completely lost. But the beauty is, it's when there's a mess, when we're broken, then we can actually look at all the pieces and we can actually see what we were constructed of when it's all laid out in front of us, broken. And from there, you can either take out the pieces that need to be rebuilt, or you can just, dump the whole mess to begin with and then actually build from scratch. And that's what I did.
I love that perspective. I love that perspective of just being broken and either pick up the pieces you want to keep and work on or start all over again. I really, really love that. So all of this came to be, and you said you were broken. Your high school sweetheart had left you. On this show, we often talk about the mindset of discipline. Motivation is great, but it only gets you so far. You have to have the discipline. So I see this book that came out in January that you wrote, A Unified Man Building a Nation from Within. Can you tell us a little bit about how the book came to be, obviously from your story, but where did you just sit down one day and say, I've got to get this on paper? Or how did that come to be?
Well, the funny thing is, it was actually an accident. The book actually wrote itself.
Ah,
I've had some good accidents lately. And here's the thing. Here's something for people to keep in mind. I'll tell this story later in the podcast, but sometimes things happen. You make a mistake. You think it's a mistake, but what it does is it opens a door and starts a wedge, in the time continuum, and sends you a butterfly effect in a different direction that ends up being, the true path that you needed to take. It's not so much what's happening or the decisions we're making. It's our judgments about them and our obsession with trying to control what's going on around us, rather than, I mean, you do have direction and you have intuition, so you know where you're going and you're not just flapping around in the wind, but allow it to guide you. Because the thing is, with intuition, it's only ever going to tell you the next step. It's only going to tell you what's happening right now, because that's all that's immediately apparent. Whereas our analytical minds, we want to know point A and point B. And that's a delusion, because we're living in the future when we're trying to think of point A and point B. It's not actually present. It's not actually real. So the book was an accident. All I meant to do was I'd finally, regimented and organized my life for once and for all time, got rid of all the drugs, the alcohol, the pornography, the stupid, shows that you'd watch, the distractions, the bad friends, the fast food, the whole show, all of these vices, because a vice is anything. It doesn't have to be, it can be anything more than that. It could be a way of thinking. All these things that are vices, they take more than they give. That's how you know that it's bad for you.
wow.
So I just wanted to write a little short document, 5 or 10 pages, just a system, so I could pass it on to other people. And just for my own clarity, because I like having order. I like having documentation, because then I can refine it and improve upon it. And then so I'd been collecting notes and crap, my whole life. And I just put it all down, started just transcribing it all. And then I just sat in front of my computer, this very computer that I'm talking to you on right now. And I became possessed. And I just sat in a room like this for a month and then just powered out this book. And so
That's incredible.
it was an accident. It was an
That's
accident.
incredible. And
But it was
oh,
meant to be.
yeah, no, I think it was meant to be. So talk a little bit to the point of you're at your lowest. What was your bottom lowest rung that you're, the total messiest mess of place that you could possibly be? And what was the mindset that finally made you just rise from that?
Well, the first time was when I was 23. That was the first time. That was the story that I portrayed before, where I just everything went to crap. I had two things in my life. I had role models. I mean, the beauty of the internet is that we can reach people that have, fields of excellence and interest that we would never ever meet. So I found a role model, someone I could learn from online, and most importantly was my father. I'm one of those blessed people to actually have strong, positive, supportive, driven parents. I'm so blessed for that, to have those critical keystones in every single person's life. So I had my father. He lives 10 minutes down the road. So he would come up every day and we would start to, clean up the property that I was on, because I double, tripled mortgaged my whole property to get all this capital to day trade. And the problem was I was day trading with borrowed money, smoking shitloads of weed, and just not really being focused. So I had him, his support to pull myself out of this, and then his connections to be able to get into a high paying, hard labor, construction, concreting job that I did not want to do. I was dirty, messy work. And, but it gave me the ability to, start to dig myself out of this hole, because I could jump immediately into a high paying work, but it was hard work.
It's hard.
I was
Yeah.
cut out for it.
We often talk about on the show, choose your hard. Either path is going to be hard. Do you want to put into the work now of fitness and exercise and going to the gym, or not eating the way that you want, but eating healthy because on down the road that's going to benefit you? Or do you want to be it hard later, medical problems in the hospital, in and out, things like that? It's always choose your hard, because no matter which road you choose, it's going to be hard, right? So that's that theme to me just kind of seems to resonate through the show. So would you say your dad, his approach was patient and kindness, or was it, I'm going to take you out back and we're going to whip you into shape?
Um, I'll just follow up for what you said there. That is so true. To actually pull yourself together, it starts off hard and then it gets easy because it's automatic. The other path, it starts off hard and it ends hard. There is no easy, because the thing is, I know how you feel. I know how everybody feels when you're unhappy, when you're anxious, when you're depressed, when you have a body that you're not proud of, when you're broke. I've been down the depths. I've been through the anxiety, the depression, the desolation, the wantings of suicide. I've been through the whole lot. And that's how I know there's only one easy path, and that's the disciplined path. That's the easiest path to take, because it's way harder dealing with those demons and that torture of the other life. I know how it feels. So my father, he's just straight up and down. His advice was, whatever's in front of you, you just deal with it. You just have to deal with it. So it was just, righto, let's just punch our way through this. Pick up a shovel and just start shoveling. I mean, when you've dug yourself into a hole, the trick is you just stop digging and start climbing.
Climbing out.
So
Yeah. Well, and
it just took years. It took years and years and years of just digging. Oh, sorry, climbing.
yeah.
Years and years. And that's what it takes. It takes years. I mean, you get immediate results physiologically, emotionally. You get pride again. You get your power back, because your sense of self-worth, because you're actually following back in your true path. That's the result you get, and that's the most important result. But the physical results, it'll take years. But
Right.
the emotional, mental, spiritual results are immediate apparent, because it's conversely. You go and eat McDonald's, you immediately feel like shit. You go and eat
100%.
steak and salad or a nice piece of fruit, you immediately feel great.
100%. Yeah. And I was just going to follow up. You had talked about working in this with the cement. Would you say that there's some truth to actually doing hard manual labor also kind of changes the way that you start to approach things. I know growing up, had horses. You'd get out there and you'd muck the stalls and shovel them, and you might not have wanted to do it, but even something as a low task as that, I felt accomplished and so pride after doing something like that. So would you say that kind of changes, wow, I accomplished something, I can do something. Hey, it is hard, but I did it, that kind of mindset?
Yes, there's three things to add to that. Number one, yes, you must do hard work. You must do physical labor. I mean, this comfort that we live in is a curse and it's also an illusion. If you want everlasting happiness, everlasting fulfillment, you can't get it by thinking about it. You have to use your body to get there. It's a pure fact because regardless of how much conscious expansion and how much connection we may have with God, the universe, the higher source, we are still based in the physical realm. Our physical prowess is our foundation. And if you don't have physical capability, you're never gonna, there's a big piece of the puzzle missing. Number two, the only reason we can be complacent, we can be lazy and apathetic is because there is a massive planetary machine that is run by millions of men, millions of women, and millions of machines. It's all work, it's all labor, it's all effort. We can only be lazy because we're living off the consistent effort of others.
Wow.
Everything is work.
So poignant.
The whole world is work. And work is beautiful. That's how we show our gratitude because we're using what we have. And number three was something else, but I can't remember. The point is, get to work. But it'll come back to me. It'll come back. Oh, yeah, that's right. I remembered. And number three, get to work. Understand other people are working for you. And here's another one. Number three, you have to be able to do the dirty work to eat the meat. If you want to eat steak, if you want to eat vegetable, if you want to eat food, you should have grown at least one garden in your life. Just one. One carrot. You have to grow at least one carrot in your life. If you want to eat chicken, you have to chop a chicken's head off. I mean, otherwise, someone else is doing your dirty work for you and you're actually disconnected. I mean, unless you're a sicko, nobody likes doing it, but death is a part of life, and if you want proof of that, just remember when you die, you become food.
That's right. Well, and I also think, I think I speak to it, it gives you a sense of appreciation for it on a different level, right? So there's one thing about being thankful for the food that we're going to eat and having the gratitude for it. But if you're actually out there being the hunter, being the gatherer, doing the things to make your crops fruitful and things like that, it brings a whole new appreciation, or at least it does to me, to watch the cycle, watch the process, watch the hard work that goes into it. And then in turn, it makes us that much more wanting to go back out and continue that cycle. And I think that's so important. I really do.
Well, 100%, because it's a sacrifice. Everything that you eat is a death. That's the nature. Something is giving its life for your life. And I mean, that's something to be really grateful for. I mean, what if someone just walked up to you one day, grabbed you by the head, ripped you out of your clothes, and then just washed you under a shower and then just started eating you piece by piece? I mean, that's what we're doing.
That's a good way to describe it.
You have to be really thankful for these things that are dying for your life. And I'm not a bloodthirsty warlord or anything like that. I've only done it a couple of times, but I've done it.
Yeah.
That's the point. You have to do it at least once.
Yeah, for sure. So can you speak a little bit to how this building this nation from within to then putting that out there to actually building a nation? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the whole world starts with you. I mean, if you understand anything about the ultimate nature of reality, I mean, what's on the inside is reflected on the outside. There is nothing we can own on this planet, nothing, because the earth owns us. Simple as that. The only thing we ever own is our physical bodies and our presence. That's it. I mean, even your house, when you get out and you leave your house, you are now forfeited because it is not in your immediate surroundings. Unless it's clothing or it's strapped to your body or it's in your hands, in your actual possession, it's not yours anymore.
Yeah.
And it never was. It's transitory. So what does that mean? That means all of those shiny cars, all of those, luxurious items, all of that property, that's not your property. That's the earth's. You don't own that. So what should you put effort into then? It doesn't mean don't get those things. Absolutely, their choice. I have a nice car. I have nice clothes. I have nice food. That's where I put most of my money into, is wholesome food, wholesome nutrients, wholesome practices and practitioners that work on my body. I don't want a shiny, I mean, I love my shiny car, but what I love more is my shiny body.
Yeah.
Because that's the only place I have to live. That's what's most important. So this whole unified man, unified, all that is about starting with your mind and your body, because we all want to be billionaires. We want to be, massive stars. We want to have all this impact. We want to be leaders. But guess what? We can't even lead ourselves. We don't even follow our own advice. We don't even trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. You say you're going to get up early and go to the gym, you don't do it. You say you're going to quit smoking, you don't do it. Why the hell is anybody going to listen to you if you don't listen to yourself? And that was me. I would do half of it right, but here's the thing. Anything that isn't a bullseye, anything outside of the bullseye is not a bullseye. Anything that isn't 100% is 0%. So until you get back to full total control, that full unity between mind and body, there's no point going anywhere else. There's no point trying to change anyone else or inspire anyone else or anything, because nobody listens to what you say. They look at what you do and they feel your presence. They don't hear the words you say, they feel what you are. And you have to begin by first making a decision, saying what you're going to do internally, and then sticking to it, because then you become trustworthy. You trust yourself. The subconscious knows that, yes, I stick to my word. I am solid. And as soon as you do that, people will feel that. So that's where you have to begin.
That's incredible. I love all of that. So actions for sure. The proverbial actions speak louder than words for sure. Then the mindset. So we're talking about the self-discipline, right? So do you have a regimen, a routine, a thing that you do every day that keeps you on the straight and narrow? Does it, when you're doing podcast interviews and you get a wrench thrown in here or there, what keeps you on the straight to continue to do what you're doing?
Prioritize, systemize, organize, regimentation. We started this podcast 22 minutes ago at 8 o'clock, not a single minute earlier, because that is my regime. That is my system. I got to get all of my shit sorted. So then now I can give to the world. I've built myself in the morning, the first, 5.5 hours, whatever it is, 5 hours of my day. I've built myself and taken care of everything. Now it's time to gift that. Now it's time to build the world, because that's what this whole unified man thing is about. And for the audience too, it is for women. It's for everybody. It's a unified species. I just called it a unified man because it sounds cool.
No,
I called it a unified person. It sounds like crap.
no, everything that I read, it was speaking to me as well. And especially, I feel like you called me out a while ago when you were talking about, if you say you're going to do something, follow through with it, because really you're letting down yourself and you're making yourself not believe or trust in yourself. And that is absolutely, you have to stick to do what you're going to say. And that's really just, that kind of, like I said, I felt like you were calling me out a little bit.
I'm calling everyone out. I'm calling myself out, because I was full of shit for years. I'd have all these grand visions and all these grand, lofty goals that were totally achievable. I would just wasn't 100% there. I would still drink. I would still smoke. I'd still eat. I'd still sleep in. Hard ass worker. I mean, Chinese year of the horse. I mean, holy, I'll work until my back breaks. Nothing wrong there. It was just these couple of other little self-controls, impulse controls that I need to sort out. Because here's the thing, is that we've all got a pain. We've all got a thorn in our side, and we're just wrapping bandages on it. That's all we're doing. We're not facing that pain. We're just wrapping bandages. And the wise man knows that the bandage only hides the wound. It's himself that must heal it. And that's what this is all about. It's about getting rid of all of those distractions, those vices, those things that take. So then you're left with the pain, because there will be a pain. There will be an uncertainty. There will be a schism, a fracture within, because you won't know anymore. You'll have to face yourself. And that's scary and that's painful, because it's the unknown. And I know that, because it's desolating. It really is. Because who am I? What am I? What am I doing? What have I actually done with my life? And you realize that you've just been fucking rooting around for years and years and years. So once you actually find that spot, it's actually really quite simple to pull yourself together to actually get that unity. The key is it's matter over mind, not mind over matter. Start in the physical realm. We want to get up there with the gods, which we can get there. Yeah, absolutely. And that's where you're supposed to be, right below the gods. But to get there, we have to start in the physical realm. And it all starts with the body. It all starts with the body. Start with the fundamentals, which is the physical world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Such great. I love everything that you're saying. I'm hanging on every word. So that whole iron sharpens iron. So is the mission to try and bring, every person that you're reaching and sort of unite them to have that way of thinking so we can move forward. And then my follow up would be, and to what are we doing it for? Is it protection? Is it because the world's so crazy that at least we're in control of ourselves? What is sort of the end game here?
Well, just remember those questions you asked me because I might forget them because I got to preempt them. I got to preempt them. You're going to start with the understanding, right? And the understanding is this. What is the meaning of life? I'll tell you what the meaning of life is. Just look outside your window. Look at life itself. What does the grass do? The bugs, the trees, the macro creatures, the fish, all of the animals. What's the meaning of it? There is no meaning. It's just beautiful. It's just the animation of it. It's just this wonder, this miracle. It's marvelous. It doesn't need a reason. You don't ask a toad why it jumps and swims it just doesn't. It doesn't need a meaning because it is operating at a deeper level. It is operating from feeling and energy. It's beautiful. Now, I can tell you what the purpose of life is, though. Look outside. What does every single life form do on this planet? They grow. They get as big and as strong and as powerful and as prolific and as influential as they possibly can. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to grow and we're supposed to grow powerful. I mean, look at a tree. It grows as big as it possibly can. That's what we're supposed to do. That's why we have all of this negative doubt, negative self-talk, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, mental, it's just nightmares and all this burdens and all this crap going on. Because why does the brain say these things? Because it's right. It's only saying that you are crap, that you're a loser, that you're not good, because maybe you are. And it said that to me for a long time because I wasn't actually following the path. I wasn't utilizing my full capability. I wasn't listening to my heart and my solar plexus. Because here's the thing, every one of us has an internal compass, and that compass always points true north. And the needle on that compass is fear. Now, not the primary fear of death. It's the secondary fear, which is the growth center, the comfort zone, the indicator from the higher purpose, the higher intelligence that is showing us intuitively where we need to be going. Because everything we want is on the other side of fear. Everything we want is on the other side of fear. All that pride, all that self-worth, energetically, it sits here in the housing in your solar plexus. Look at the words, solar, strong like the sun. Plexus, it needs to be plexed, flexed, expanded upon. So the whole point of this whole mission is to ascend our species, to actually get our species to our full capability. Now, how do we do that? We do that individually, collectively, and autonomously. Each one of us has a responsibility to create our world, to unify our minds and our bodies, because when you start using your body, the mind will catch up and it will start giving you this positive feedback. You'll have that positive attitude. You won't be giving yourself a hard time anymore. You'll be feeling great. You'll be feeling alive. And why are you feeling alive? Because you are using this life form.
Absolutely.
That's why you feel alive.
Absolutely.
So
very well said.
that gives you clarity, because once you use your body, the mind catches up and then you have that clarity, and then you can actually detach from your mind and operate from that central seat of experiential awareness that is our consciousness. And in a nutshell, then your whole world changes, and then you have changed the world because you have changed your world.
Yeah.
And that's the point, because that's individually, and then now you are self-sufficient, you are clear in your purpose. So then You're autonomous. I don't need to tell you what to do. Nobody needs to tell you what to do. You know what you need to do. You know the path. So as an individual, you are now autonomous. And then when enough of us do it collectively, then we all have our own individual, unique gift or area of service and elevation that we can bring to the world.
I
That's the
love
mission.
that. No, I love that. Do you think it's more, and who's to say what it was before, but do you think it's more difficult now to get to that mindset with even more distractions that we have with internet, social media, different things that are pulling us from one direction to another? I mean, obviously, the obvious answer, yes, but is there something that, you talk about that fear. Is it the fear the same for everybody? And is that why we go to the distractions? What do you think it is?
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, here's the thing, right? We're all born unique. Every single one of us is a unique shard of the universal animating force. But guess what? We're all the same species. So we're not that different. We all have a unique gift, a unique power that we can offer to the world. But fundamentally, we're all pretty much the same. What I feel, you feel. What you feel, I feel. And the problem is that all of these issues that we have now, all of these, it's just bullshit. It's all modern. They're all modern diseases. They're all modern constructs. I mean, you go back 30 years ago, half of this crap didn't even exist because here's the thing. That was the most beautiful thing about my big mess was the fact that I was forced into the old world. There was no cyberspace. There was no leverage. It was just brute force. And I worked and lived and trained, went to battle, so to speak, with real men from the old world. These guys didn't have social media. They didn't use the internet. They didn't know anything about what was going on in the rest of the world. They didn't even watch the news. I mean, they were just right here, right now, taking care of business, connected, blood bonded with their brothers in battle. When that cement rocked up and it hit the deck, it didn't matter how hungover you were. It didn't matter how sore you were. It didn't matter how little sleep you'd have. It didn't matter if you had no sleep. You had to deal with that shit. You had to deal with it, and you had to deal with it now. You were forced into the present. It didn't matter if the sun was thermonuclear in the tropics in this on the equator where we work. None of that mattered. What mattered was your reputation and your effort, your pride and your effort. So that's what I learned from these guys. Again, I was talking about earlier mistakes. You never know what's going to happen. Oh, I shouldn't have done this and I shouldn't have done that. Best thing that ever happened to me because it turned me into a man. And, strength, honor, courage, and mastery. I had to become physically strong. I had to deal with scary situations. I'm dying here. I'm literally dying because I haven't slept because of the drugs I've had. I'm still pissed. I'm still off my head. And I am cooking. I can feel my organs shutting down. I have to keep working. Otherwise, guess what? I'm going to get smashed.
Yeah.
So, and the mastery of self, of just that self-talk, I have to go through it. I have to go through it. So, point is, all this crap is just an invention. It's not actually natural to feel all these things because here's the other thing. All of these issues, all of this struggle we face, it's because we isolate ourselves. And that's unnatural. We're not supposed to be isolated. I mean, look at any tribal setting, look at any primitive group, look at any happy, functioning human beings. There's no solitude. I mean, there's no isolation. And we only struggle when we're alone. And that's not supposed to be that way. So when you actually find other people to connect with, you realize that it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's all just me because I'm just sitting here torturing myself. The civilization does it to us. All of this brainwashing nonsense does it to us, but ultimately it's us that do it to ourselves.
Definitely. There's something to be said for relatability with somebody or that connection. Finding out somebody else is going through maybe perhaps something more worse than what you're going through, or maybe it's not so bad, but either way, it sort of gives you a perspective of either I'm grateful for my own problems, or it could be worse, or somebody did have these problems and I know I can come out on the other side. And then when you remove that, and I know you can talk on social media, but I don't think it's the same as the closeness and the connection that you can feel within, like you were saying, your own tribe of people and whatever that is. And I think men and women alike, especially, they crave that. It's part of our being. We will need to be with the, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just agreeing. Like, yes, we need that connection. We need that connection. I mean,
Yeah.
the cyberspace is beautiful. It's almost supernatural. The ability that we can talk now through space and time
Yeah.
across the vast distance. It's incredible stuff. That's power that needs to be leveraged. But we need in our real world, the real world, real people, real connections, and real trust. The smaller that group, the better, because the stronger the trust, and the tighter the truth and the connection. Because trust is like love. I mean, it's rare. I mean, when you love someone, it means you care about them as much as you care about yourself.
Yeah.
And trust is the same thing.
Yeah. So would you say with this transformative things that you've gone through, would you say that you went from a place of no self-love to complete self-love? Is it still a work in progress?
Yes and yes. Because here's the thing. It always takes effort. I mean, here's the catch. Work is worship. If I didn't get up at 2:44 this morning and do my regime and go to the gym and do my meditation and do some breathing and eat the right foods and do my boxing and do my social media posts and inspire people and talk to my team and didn't do this podcast, I'd be hating myself. I would be feeling like a big old piece of crap because I wouldn't be expanding. I'm not living up to our natural states as human beings. In our primal states are work, whether that's self-work or work in the world, and community. I mean, look at our primitive beginnings. We'd be out in nature doing shit, getting messy all day, and then we'd come home in the evening and we'd have community, we'd have connection. And the key is in a small group.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the key, because that's where you actually get connection. I mean, there's expansion. Expansion is a big group, whereas connection is a small group. So it takes constant effort. Like I said, if I get up tomorrow and don't do everything I did today, I'd be feeling exactly the same as I was. But here's the key. The catch is actually I'd be feeling worse than what I did before, because now I know. Before I didn't know. So I didn't understand the root of the pain. If I don't do it, I know what the pain is. I know where it's going to lead me. And I know, above all, that it was my fault.
Right. So, yeah, holding yourself accountable, holding your feet to the fire.
No, it's all you. It's
Yeah.
all you.
Yeah.
Every single thing is you.
So I like to, I'm going to pivot here really quick. I often like to hear what my guests think. I had a really big battle finding the right, I'm going to use the word diet, so to speak, but I love to get people's perspective. I was both vegan and now carnivore. What is your take on either of those?
Well, I'm glad you asked, mate. The answer is both. The answer is both, mate. I mean, I've been a vegan. It's crap. I've been a fruitarian. All I did was fart like a circus donkey. I've been a carnivore. It blocked me up like a plug. I mean, it's find what works for you. Like now, I just eat meat, fruit, vegetables, and rice.
Yeah,
that's it. Nothing else. Well, actually, no, I lie. Every Saturday, I get an ice cream.
Okay.
Whatever. At least it's not drugs or alcohol.
No.
Not a carton of beer. But the point is, that's part of the plan too. Diet, just eat real food.
Yeah.
I don't matter what you eat, as long as it's actual food and not recycled industrial waste.
Garbage. Yeah. No, I always like to get people's perspective. Sometimes it gets heated, so I wasn't sure where you stood in that area.
I always stand in the middle, Sarah. I always stand in the middle because I take a hybrid approach to life. Because here's the thing, right? You want to get the answers to life? Look at the world itself.
Yeah.
If you start at one point on the earth and then there's two extremes, there's vegan and there's carnivore. If you go in opposite directions around the earth, guess what?
You're going to meet in the middle. You're going to come back around.
You're going to meet in the middle, and then eventually you can end up back at the same place.
I love that.
Both extremes lead to the same destination.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad you were willing to participate to answer that question. You'd be surprised.
Oh.
Some people are very diehard either way. Some people are, some are not sure. I'm glad, like you, I can speak to both, and I've done both, and like you said, sort of come back and do it in the middle. It interests me how much that seems to drive people, though. Instead of, like you said, taking the equation of just we need the food to fuel and have the energy for our bodies. We want to put the best, wholesome ingredients that we can in our body, but it seems to just polarize a lot of people depending on what you're going to choose. So,
Here's something important to keep in mind, Sarah. We can only choose all this picky crap is because of the world supply chain machine that I mentioned earlier. Millions of men and millions of machines. So, and especially us in a Western country, we have the luxury to be picky about our food. We have the luxury. I mean, I'm so picky. And I pay the high price. My highest expense in life is that quality food because I'm so blessed and I have the ability to choose. Go anywhere else in the world, you can't say, I'm going to be just a carnivore. I'm going to be just a vegan. Oh, I don't eat dairy. Fuck off. You're starving to death, mate. And then also get back to nature. What if you're an Eskimo? What if you live inside? There are, like, I don't know where you live in the United States, but, full 4 seasons where I live, we don't get 4 seasons. We get 2. We get hot and cool.
yeah,
Hot
I'm
and
I'm in California, so we get hot and warm.
Yeah, exactly. So there's parts of the world naturally where there would only be beasts to eat. There would only be meat to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And then what if you're injured, or in a situation where there's a drought, there are no beasts to eat, so you're eating plants. I mean, you just got to be adaptable. I mean, people
Sure.
just, and that's the problem because they're not present here and now. They attach to these ideologies like it's concrete. I mean, there's nothing concrete. I mean, the only thing, that stick to is get your ass up and go to work. I mean, number one, that never changes. But everything else, you need to be fluid. I mean, I've changed perceptions that many times. It's funny. I've gone from one extreme to the other that many times and continue to. And that's why the more you hold on to your convictions, the less present you are because you're stuck in here and you're not actually here.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. Well, very well said. So the book, it came out in January. Are you having, I would assume, great feedback, people reaching out, wanting to become part of your tribe, I would assume?
Well, absolutely, because it's my story is your story. It's all of our stories. It's a collective. It's us as a collective. I mean, I'll just get straight to the point and just tell it like it is because that's what was told to me. I was told like it is, and I hate, and here's this book and it's 600 pages big. It's all this information. It's like, hell no, baby. We just need to just get a couple of things clear in our skull, just get a couple of programs, a couple of sacraments, whatever you want to call it, attitudes, follow that shit and just, get to work and get to the process
The
because
discipline for sure. And what
to
would
it.
you say, we often talk about balance, right? So it's probably balance for moderation in what you eat, balance in making sure you're putting in like your physical fitness to also mental things that you're doing, right? Like you're balancing all of that.
Oh, it's sort of imbalanced. Because here's the thing. Balance is a point of view, and many people talk about this. Balance can be an insidious way to get out of putting in your maximum effort. When we talk about balance,
Too.
it can
Yeah.
be it can be a point to get out. It's like
Almost an excuse.
it's an excuse, work-life balance, or oh, I'm a bit tired. You're still a slave to your feelings. You're still a slave to how you feel in the moment, rather than sticking to what you said you were going to do. And here's the thing: if you want more energy, give more energy.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't matter what I feel in the morning. I get up and then straight away, and boom, I'm feeling fucking great. If I sleep in, I feel terrible. I
Yeah.
feel like just shooting myself in the head because it's like I feel like crap. I know I didn't stick to my word. So it really comes down to how far do you want to take your capability? How far do you want to take it? And we're taking it all the way.
I want to go all
'cause
the
here's
way. Yeah. Want to go.
all the way, baby. Because here's the thing: you never, ultimately, when you get that clarity, when you get that unification within, the past and the future no longer exist because you're right here, right now, in the eternal moment. None of that crap exists. So you're only worried about what I can do right now. You don't have regrets anymore because you've pulled it all together because you now realize you've found that place of being. because you never regret what you did. You ultimately only regret what you didn't do.
Didn't do. And I think in what you were talking about, I think that sort of defines the difference between the self-discipline and the motivation. The motivation will only get you so far. It's that self-discipline that is going to make you continuously get out of that bed every morning at the same time and do whatever the routine is that you have to do. Whereas the motivation is going to dwindle. I don't feel like it today because that's based on how you feel. But the self-discipline, that mindset, that's going to keep you pushing forward.
Oh, 100%, because motivation is all about a result. It's still based in the physical realm. I'm motivated to get something. That's what motivation means. I'm motivated to go and get something. Discipline is solid. Discipline is more about character. That's more about who rather than what.
It's more dependable.
Well, it's about you then. It's about being present. It's about right now. It's about building yourself from within, having that staunch character, because that's what's going to last. Here's another thing, right? Talking about messes. I've told you the story of my first mess. The second mess was even worse because the thing was, I was now healthy. I'd now paid off all of my debt. I now had money. I didn't have to, I had, a good relationship. I had love. I had the whole thing, but I was empty now. None of it, I felt worse than I did before because I'd been on this voyage for 10 years, 12 years to pull myself out of debt and actually get myself into a financial situation where I can actually, build my dreams, build my calling. And I felt worse than before. This is like 6 months ago before I started doing what I'm doing now. I was lost. I was desolated. It was the worst. I wanted to go back to, at least I had a purpose before. I had this debt to pay off. You know what I mean? I had a mission. Now that I made it, a goal, an objective, now that I'd made it, I was worse than before. So what that done is that spawned a whole nother adventure that got me to where I am now. But the biggest takeaway of that adventure, that journey, that hero's journey, is that the goal is going to be good, but it's not going to sustain. What sustains is you. What sustains is your character development, your continual growth, who you're becoming in the process, and also following that true path. This podcast here, talking to you, this is the path. Getting up early, eating that food, doing that regime, that's the path, because there is only today. There is only this hour. There is only this moment.
Amen.
Nothing else exists and nothing else is relevant. Anything that isn't this moment is irrelevant because it's not real. It doesn't exist. This is all there is. So
that's
ultimately, that's what you got to lock into it. Otherwise, you'll forever be chasing. You'll be chasing that dragon and you'll always be empty because none of it can fill you up. Only you can fill you up. Only you can give yourself that gift of presence, of being connected, of being yourself. As corny as it sounds, you got to give that gift of yourself back to yourself. And here's the key. Here's what's most critical about that is that once you find that place, once you find that center, that 0 point of power, nobody can take it from you because nobody gave it to you. You gave it to yourself.
That's right. Wow. That was absolutely so powerful. I love everything that you're saying. So this new journey is fairly recent. You've got this incredible book. Has there been anything that's been fun or a fun mess that has stood out to you while you've been on this journey?
Yeah, this podcast.
I always like to trip people up with that one because they never think about something fun.
Yeah, no, heaps of fun stuff. It's like, so what I had to do, pardon me, is I knew that it was time. I had to let go of the comfortable world. I was still in the same little small town that I'd grown up in. Everybody knew me. I knew that I had, a good paying job. Everything was comfortable, but there was no expansion. There was no growth. There was no forced evolution. So what happened is got separated, sold everything, left everything behind, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I did not know. I just knew I had to leave. I knew I had an urge because the deeper intelligence will only ever tell you the next step. It'll show you the next direction. Why is that? Because it's smarter. Like I said, the path will illuminate as you walk it. You don't need to know what's going to happen a K down the road. You don't need to know. Otherwise, you're going to miss everything on the way. You need to know what's next. So what did I do? Is I did all that, and then I reached out to a mentor, a master, the most successful person I knew, which was Uncle Paps. and Uncle Paps lived in a different country in New Zealand. So I went, I'll go and see Uncle Paps. Hell yeah, because he was, he was a millionaire, championship international bodybuilder, mindset mastery coach. It's what he did for a living. He'd been married happily for 27 years, grandkids, the whole show. Sweet, I get on a plane. Got on the plane, left. And I was like, I'm never coming back. Landed. So I come from North Queensland down to Brisbane, which then would fly me over to New Zealand. Got to Brisbane Airport, got to the international terminal, and went to get on the plane. And they said, oh, hold on a minute, sir. We just need to call immigration. But I know what's happening here, because I had like health powders and health supplements. A lot of them were like, white powders. I thought maybe they think they're drugs. They said, did you order a passport recently? And I said, yeah, I did actually, because I was thinking I might end up staying and living in New Zealand. I was looking for a new place to call home, a new place to start, the next phase of my life, my adult life. And they said, oh, yeah, we thought so. That means you haven't got it with you, do you? I said, no. They said, well, that means this passport here is invalid. So you ain't getting on the plane, boy.
Oh my God.
So I was like, left home, landed in this place, and then now I can't get to the new destination. I'm stuck midway. For about a quarter of a second, I went, shit. And then I went, yes, this is the perfect opportunity to embody my new philosophy, which is all I am is my body, my bag, and my bank account. That's it. That's the only things I have. So I got excited, nervous, excited. I got to make this up now. I'm in a new big city, and I got to make it up. Same like the book, best thing that ever happened to me. Best accident, best mistake, because then that led to a series of butterfly effects and chance encounters and people that I've met and connections and business opportunities and employment opportunities and, level ups and ascension and all of these amazing things like this podcast that we're having now wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that. And then now, because of that, I've come to the Gold Coast, which is like the Miami of Australia. Absolutely sensational. It's the perfect intersection of climate, demographics, and culture. It's just an amazing place to live. And I've built this whole new life now, whole new people, the whole shebang. Perfect because of that one mistake. So it's just turned into the most funnest, realest thing that's ever happened.
That's amazing. Go ahead.
Here's one more thing. I eventually made it to New Zealand and saw the master, and I almost didn't, because I was like, oh, everything's going good now. He said to me, are you sure? And I went, yeah, I got to complete the mission. So here's the thing though, although that mistake happened, I had to remember I still hadn't completed the journey. I still hadn't met the wizard across the water. So as you go through your path, you're going to be darted and all these things are happening. Remember though, that you got to complete the mission. You have to stay the course.
I love that. And I was just going to add to the having that perspective of that mistake happening, but also having the courage to get on the plane to start with, selling everything, not knowing your next step. That took courage to just even start that. And then to have this roadblock when you think you've got your plan all set out and then nope, kidding.
Yeah, like straight up. And here's the thing, it all happened for a reason, is because when you start to follow that intuition, you can actually relax and let go and yield, because you understand that you'll be guided. When you actually start to follow that intuition within, you'll be guided. You'll be taken care of. I mean, all these things will happen that your brain initially won't like and won't agree with. It will try to rationalize and justify and juggle and all this crap, because it's based in the reality. It's based in what's the known seen world. Intuition, deeper intelligence, it's all unseen. It's the true dimension that, runs everything, that is behind, the Maya. The Aztecs called it the Maya, the illusion. All of this, it's an illusion. Doesn't mean it's not real. It's definitely real. But what it means is that it's not what it appears. There are unseen forces guiding everything. And if you want proof, just go and play with magnets.
I like that.
There are unseen forces at work.
That's true.
You just have to trust it. And that's what I did. I took that leap of faith, and that roadblock was exactly what needed to happen. It's so much more clever. It knows what's going on. You can't resist it. It will organize everything.
Don't fight it. Yeah.
As long as, yes, Sarah, as long as you don't fight it, you'll be fine. As soon as you fight it, that's when it won't work.
That's incredible. Neal, it has been absolutely such a pleasure getting to talk with you, hearing about your story. I would love to let the audience know where they can find you. If they want to connect with you, maybe get your book.
Yeah, damn straight. Go to my website, www.theunifiedman.com.au. You can get the links to the book and my programs, coaching, and if you want to work with me. There's also the links on there to my social media, which is just mostly Instagram, which is obviously at Neal, Neal Fisher, Fisher, one word, underscore at the end. And we can just talk. I mean, we don't have to work together, but I mean, if you need help, you want someone to talk to, you got questions, I'm always there. I love it. It's what I do. I mean, that's the whole point is I build myself and then I give that person away to the world. And yeah, I'm guided. We're all guided.
Yeah.
And if you're going to talk to me, you're going to talk to me and we're meant to chat.
No, I love it. And that's
We're
what
not
this
meant
was. Yeah, no, and that's what this, and your energy, I mean, by far, so incredible. I hung on every word, and I just truly appreciate you coming on this little podcast and sharing your mess. And I really, really wish you the best of luck and the most success with your book. And hopefully there'll be more to come, and maybe we can have you back on again.
Yeah, damn straight, mate. Just reach out. There's always something. I've got plenty to say. Trust me.
I love it. Oh, thank you so much, Neal. I appreciate it. Take care.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. If you don't mind, if you'd head on over to wherever you listen to your podcast at and like, subscribe, maybe leave me a review. I would totally appreciate that. If you'd like to be considered to be a guest on our podcast, please reach out to me at everythingsmessy@gmail.com. You can also find me on social media at Everything's Messy Podcast on Instagram. I'm also on X, which was Twitter at Everything's Mess, and Facebook at Everything's Messy Podcast. Once again, I'd love to hear from you in any capacity and anything that you'd like to share with me. Thanks again for listening.